What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Union Fitness Podcast. With you today is myself, Jared, and
Kurt, the Curtis Miller,
thank
I
you.
should say.
Your
the
actual first name.
Thee.
So today we are going to have a follow-up to what we talked about last time. Last time we talked about signing up for your first powerlifting meet, kind of what to expect, why you should do it, and be excited about it. Today we are going to go through what to do at your actual first powerlifting meet.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to take you through the whole process.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, like, signing up is one thing, right? That's how you know you're in it. But then you got to do it.
Yup.
And at the end of the day, it's really simple.
Yeah.
It's not overly complicated. It's nerve-wracking because it's something you've never done before. But then you get in it, you get going, and you're like, oh, man, this is it.
It just flows.
I'm doing what I usually do in the gym. There's just, like, people and judges.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, like, it's,
that's right.
and I'm wearing a singlet.
Tights.
Yeah. But the thing is, you do want to go in with a game plan, right? You could go on the internet and you could ask a million people, and a million people might tell you something a little bit different. But overall, like, the structure is going to be the same.
Yeah.
If you talk to people who have done meets.
Yeah.
So we have put together a list of the basics, what we think. You know, you can get more specific, but for your first meet, you don't really need to. You know, remember that you're showing up and you're lifting weights at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Right. You're listening to the judges. You're listening to other people, meeting other people, watching what other people are doing, and just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So I think, first on our list, let's just get right into it. First on our list is like how to weigh in and what to do post weigh-in.
Yep. So when you show up, right, it can be kind of intimidating. You usually show up and it's just a gym and you see people running all around. You usually see someone who looks like they're official. They might have like a t-shirt on for the federation or of that specific gym, and you usually approach them and they go, "Hi, are you here for weigh-ins?" Mm-hmm. "Yes, I am." And then they just direct you appropriately.
Yeah, most of the times, especially here at Union Fitness, we will tape up pieces of paper that say like weigh-ins this way with like an arrow, but you can't miss it because you're going to see a tent outside. So if you walk at least close to the tent, somebody's going to direct you.
Yeah, and I've been to plenty of meets where there's no signs, nothing. You just find somebody and say, "Hey, I'm here for weigh-ins," and they go, "Great, talk to so-and-so." And then
you don't find them.
But,
so you're going to go weigh in, all right? Now, this can be nerve-wracking for some people, but don't make it so. Like, control the things you can control. And if we talked about cutting weight last week, right?
Yeah, 10 pounds, 12.
30. Don't cut weight. The first thing you want to be able to do is go in there, say, "I'm such and such. I'm here to weigh in." Step on the scale and go about the rest of your day. Right? That's one less stressor. So they're gonna put you on a scale. You're gonna weigh in, and then after that, they're gonna get what's called your rack height. Now this is gonna be for squatting and benching. So your rack height is obviously the height of where the hooks are, where the bar is going to be when you're lifting.
The thing you set in the gym, so you're not going on your toes when
right.
you squat.
And it should be exactly the same as what you've been training with for the last few months. Don't just get under it wherever they adjust it and say, "Hey, that's good," because you're nervous. Take the time. What I like to do, I actually got this from a friend of mine, is measure your rack height in training with a tape measure, with the bar loaded where it's going to be, because the bar is kind of flex a little bit. So in training, take a tape measure from the bottom of the bar loaded to the floor. Write it down. Take the tape measure with you. When they go to get your rack height, measure from the bottom of the bar to the floor. Get under it. Make sure it's the same.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, right? You can do the same thing for benching too, because a lot of meets have adjustable benches.
Yeah.
Measure from the bench that you're laying on to the bar, and that's your rack height, and just get it adjusted.
Yeah.
Now, another big thing, the shoes.
Yeah, wear the same shoes you're going to compete in, wear them when you get your rack height set. You don't want to go under in a pair of, flip-flops or Toms or something and you squat in heels. There's going to be a big difference when you go to get under the bar.
Dude, I've seen people weigh in work boots and then, like, lift in chucks. I'm like, you can't unrack the bar.
Yeah.
You know,
You're going up on your tippy toes at that
right?
point. Yeah.
So, wear the same shoes. You don't have to wear them there, but you're going to have your equipment because they do an equipment check. So bring your shoes that you're going to be squatting in, throw them on to get your rack height. You're good to go.
Yeah, and like those people are there for you too. Like they're not going to be annoyed with you
Right.
because you told them it was too high or too low. Like just get your rack height and
Yep.
they'll tell you what number it is. They'll write it on your card and you go to the next thing.
Yep. Take your time. Take your time. There's always the thing that gets nerve-wracking, because I've experienced too, is like waiting in line.
Yeah.
To get weighed in and then get your rack height.
And you're just eyeing everyone up.
You're
Like, are they in my weight class?
Yeah, right.
Are they in my weight class?
Even though people won't admit it, like you do think that.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? But no.
Curtis, I have a question.
All right, hit me.
What happens if I went through all this and I got my thing measured, and then Dave the meat,
Hold
I
on,
get
what?
under the bar and it's not set right?
Yeah, that happens.
You just tell them.
That's the reason I fell backwards. It was the rack height was wrong. So what they will do is most judges and directors, when they see something like that happen, the people that are doing the scores table, they'll watch it happen and they will announce over the microphone, hey, we're going to lower their rack height next attempt. Now, the thing is, when it happens though, you can't be like, hey, lower my rack height. I mean, you can. You get multiple attempts at an unrack, right? So you can unrack the bar, and if something feels wrong, you can put it right back in the rack, and you get another opportunity. Now, if you unrack the bar and you can tell that rack height is too high, too low, whatever, you can rack it, step back, and say, hey, can I get it down one, up one? But that usually takes an experienced lifter. I'm not saying you can't do it as a first timer, but most of the time you're worried about so many things as a first timer. Yeah. It's hard to slow down and think about something like that. But just know that you can do that. So that's actually a great question. And then if you happen to go through with the lift anyway, once you stand up and once you rack it, look at the judges and say, hey, could I get my rack height adjusted for my next attempt?
Yeah, no, it's no big deal to them. They just fix it.
Yeah, great question. So we got weigh-in, we got rack heights.
Yep. Now
openers.
Openers. Yeah. You,
so
they're going to tell them what you want for each lift. What you're starting with.
Yeah. So openers, it can be nerve-wracking for some people, because I think some people think that their day is dictated, or their second and third attempts are going to be based off of like how high they open.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, if I want to hit X amount of weight for my third attempt, I have to open pretty high. And that's not really the case, especially for your first meet.
Mm-hmm.
That first you have so much going through your mind. The last thing you want to think about is how heavy this damn bar is going to be.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. What I like to tell people normally is when they're asking like about openers and stuff, just say like, okay, if you had the flu,
boom,
and you still went to the gym, what could you do for 3 reps?
Sure.
Because no matter how excited you are at that meet, like you'll get that weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, because then you can go up from there. It's not a problem.
Yeah. And the thing is like when you are at a meet for the first time, your scenery is different. You're used to training in the gym, looking at the same thing right in front of you. So you go to a meet, you're on a different squat stand or squat rack. The flooring underneath of you may be a little different. And then there's openness, right? You're not in a gym anymore. So sometimes your balance feels a little off. So if you select the right weight to open with, even with that whole scenario going on, you still can control all the variables, and you're going to make sure you're hitting your depth and standing up, and that if it's too heavy, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't have to worry about what you're going to hit at the end of the day. All you have to tell them is the first weight you're going to hit, and just make sure it's something you could confidently do. Because in the end, you're building confidence for your next lifts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's to keep you in the meet. You hit your opener, you're in the meet.
You have to hit it. You have to hit a lift to get in the meet. So you might as well do it on your first attempt.
Yep.
I've had 2 occasions where my third attempt dictated whether I was going to get in the meet or not.
Same, actually. 2 occasions.
You don't want to be there.
Nope.
I mean, it tells you a little bit about yourself if you can still dig down deep and make it happen.
Yeah.
But you don't want to rely on that. You
Yep.
want to get in the meet so you can coast, but that first attempt will be nerve-wracking. Always, no matter who you are, I don't care. You can tell me you're not nervous. You're going to be a little nervous, and it's okay. The fact that you're nervous tells you that, like, you enjoy doing this, or
Yeah.
you're enjoying the process.
You care about what you're going to do that day.
Exactly, 100%. So ride that nervousness, control it, but use it. So
Can I add something?
yeah.
So I think a lot of the times, if you are somebody who unfortunately misses your first lift as a first timer, immediately you just ask why, right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's okay to do that under the right guys. Like, you're allowed to go to the judge and say, hey, what did I miss? But say it like, hey, what did I miss? Not, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right,
like,
right.
You know, a big deal.
Yeah, I saw Jared get pretty mad one time. No, I'm kidding. He was very calm and collected, But yes, that's a very good point. If you miss something, and you're not sure why, because there could be a million reasons, look at, ask whatever judge gave you the red light. Say, hey, could you tell me what that was for? Why did I get that red light? And a majority of judges are sweethearts, and they're gonna say, yeah, this is why. So just make sure next time this is what you want to do. It's a whole learning experience, and all those judges were at one time that person lifting for the first time.
Yeah.
So they get it.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
just want to help you out. They're not out to get you. They want to
Right.
hit the white button.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know a couple that like hitting red buttons, but we don't associate with them. But so we got weigh-ins, we got openers, rack height, we got attempts.
So after that, you got to eat.
You got to, yeah, you got to get your butt out of there, because now you're going to be resting.
Time to
right?
fuel up.
So don't go to a buffet unless you eat a buffet every day. But the moral of the story is stick to your routine.
Yeah.
Right? Stick to your routine. So make sure hydration is key, and good quality nutrition. The last thing you want to do, and I've done all this, and I'm sure you guys have too, you don't want to just load up just to load up and say, yeah, I want to feel full and big the next day. If you haven't trained that way, you definitely don't want to compete that way.
It's going to feel weird.
It's going to feel awful. I was coached at one time by this old school multiply power lifter back home, and like he always wanted to go to the Chinese buffet after we weighed in. So I was like, okay, I'm just trying to be part of the gang. So we go to Chinese buffet, and man, I was like, even for being a skinny dude, I was so bloated the next day. I felt terrible.
Yeah.
And that was the last time. So if you eat chicken and rice throughout the week, eat chicken and rice after you weigh in. Whatever your routine is.
Yeah.
Just keep it simple. Keep your portion sizes the same. Make sure you're hydrated. Don't try to guzzle a bunch of fluid. Just stick to the game plan.
Now, if you did go against advice about cutting weight and say you did cut weight, we're just going to talk about this just in case you did.
Yep.
The one thing that you want to make sure you do is immediately after you cut weight, you need to refuel with electrolytes. You probably did a water cut, so you probably sweat out a bunch of stuff, right? You're going to be very dehydrated. You need to, I don't care if it's Gatorade, Pedialyte, salt water, it doesn't matter, replenish your electrolytes. And you need to be doing that through the night, right? So don't just chug a bunch and say I'm good. Like, space it out. Every hour you're having some form of, fluid with like electrolytes in it. You need to refuel all your glycogen stores, so you're eating a lot of carbohydrates that night, and you will actually probably have to be a little bit off of your routine then because you did a weight cut. So
Yep.
Definitely make sure you're fueling up a little bit more, but don't go ham on some like pizza, Chinese buffet, like all sorts of crazy stuff, because you'll feel like trash the next day because you cut weight. Yeah. So you need to keep it relatively clean. Just you need to make sure you're fueling yourself appropriately.
Sure.
Don't get to the point where you're in pain.
Yeah, exactly. If you're doing I've done weight cuts incorrectly and I've done them correctly. And when I did them correctly, I was under the guidance of a couple very, very successful powerlifters. And essentially what it is it's small levels of hydration and food much more frequently than you normally would.
Yeah.
So immediately after I weighed in, and this was for a 13-pound cut. So immediately after I weighed in, it was 32 ounces of water, and 2 noon tablets. 24 ounces of water and 2 noon tablets. Then an hour later, it was my first meal. It was like steak, rice, and peppers. Then an hour later, it was another 24 ounces of water with 2 noon tablets. The noon tablets have electrolytes in them, obviously, and it just kind of rotated the rest of the day. So not a bunch at once, because that's going to sit all in your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
You do a little bit periodically, and it's going to kind of go everywhere that it needs to go.
Yeah, if you do a morning weigh-in and you had done a weight cut, and you binge eat right afterwards, you're going to be hurting the whole day, and you're not going to want to eat anything.
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably go back to being a little bit dehydrated. You'll
Yep.
have lack of energy. If you do the same thing at night, you're going to feel like trash all night, wake up in the morning with probably a stomach ache and not wanting to eat anything before you even go compete.
For sure.
So
Yep.
if you do it, just be smart. Every hour, try to eat something small, replenish yourself, electrolytes and fluid.
Yeah, definitely. So now we're going to go into getting up the next morning, right? Yep. Don't get up too early.
Don't show up too early.
Yeah, don't get up too late. So read the rules, read the emails that say, hey, this is the time that we're going to have a rules meeting.
Generally, it's like 8 a.m., right?
Yeah.
If meet starts at 9, it's usually an hour beforehand.
Exactly. 8:15, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend, especially as a first-time lifter, going to the rules meeting. Yeah. All right? Because they're going to tell you exactly what to expect throughout the day. They're going to explain the commands. They're going to explain the flow of the day. They're going to explain how the different flights, and we'll get into that, how they're going to rotate. So go to the rules meeting, get up, give yourself enough time to wake up, get a good breakfast, a normal breakfast, get hydrated, then make your way to the meet. Get there about, 20 minutes, 15 minutes before the rules meeting.
Yeah, don't show up an hour before the rules meeting.
Yeah.
Nobody will be there.
Yeah, right. We'll still be setting up.
Yeah.
But, get there and listen to what they actually have to say.
Yep.
They're going to tell you everything that you need to know. And after that, what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, lifting starts in so many minutes.
The flights are posted.
Boom. The flights are posted up on the wall.
Yep.
Now, what these flights are is they're the groupings that you're going to be lifting in. Those flights are based off of how much weight that you will be attempting for your opener. It doesn't go by weight class or anything like that.
Oh, it's always gone by weight class for me. I'm always flight A.
Are you talking about
I think we're talking about the same thing but different parts of it.
Okay,
so there's
flight
different
is listed. There's different
sessions.
Yeah. There's like a morning session, which sometimes will be a group of weight classes, and then there'll be an afternoon session, which is a different group of weight classes.
So I guess there's a bunch of different ways that people run meets too.
Yeah,
then
there are.
Sometimes like smaller meets, it's just like flight A, flight B, flight C.
Uh-huh.
And it's all just done it's usually females and the lightest men, and then it's like middleweight dudes and then heavyweight dudes.
Okay.
And they just go through that way.
So this meet, if you're coming and doing the Kabuki Open, the way that Doug and his group from the USPA, since it's a 1-day meet, your flights will be based off of your opening weight.
Which is how I think it needs to be because of how many weights are going to be switched
around.
Exactly. Makes it
exactly.
easier for the people doing it.
And that way they can just adjust it. And your order within that flight is going to be based off of how much weight you're attempting. That way they never have to go down in weight. They can always just go up to the next person.
Yeah.
So if you are, if you're in flight A and they say, hey, lifting starts at 9, you're slowly going to start warming up. You're going to do everything the same that you've done in training. If you just walk in and get under the bar and start squatting, walk your ass under that bar and start squatting. If you do a little bit of foam rolling, so a little bit of mobility work, a little bit of stretching, do the same thing. Don't rush. Just give yourself enough time.
Yep.
And they will announce how much time you have until the next flight starts. So if you're in flight A and you're warming up, they'll say, hey, 15 minutes until flight A is on the platform. And then when flight A goes out on the platform, if you're in flight B, you're going to start, and it just repeats itself.
So generally speaking, as a lightweight guy, I am usually flight A or flight B. So warming up for me is usually lifters meeting ends, and I'm either starting my normal routine at that point, or I'm letting flight A warm up, and when flight A starts about their second attempts, I'm warming up. Now you, Kurt, are usually towards the end of like the meet usually, right? Like your last flight. So when when do you start warming up, and how do you time that for yourself?
So if it's a new federation that I'm lifting in, like, I've lifted in USAPL, USPA, RPS. Now I'll be lifting in WRPF for my next meet, which is a different federation. I'm going to go to the rules meeting. As my 16th meet, I should know the rules. So if I'm not stepping on the platform till noon or 11, I'm probably not going to come to the rules meeting if I don't absolutely feel like I have to. So if they say, hey, flight D, the last flight, is going to step on the platform at 11, I usually start warming up about I usually give myself about 30 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more depending on what I'm opening with, but it'll depend. Some people can get warmed up in 10-15 minutes, and other people it just takes longer. So you just depending on what it is, you have to stay calm during that time. If you are, flight B or flight C or flight D or whatever, you can't get hyped up and aroused when flight A starts warming up. And I've seen it, man, and it's draining. It's mentally draining. You'll see people that are like doing jumping jacks and like banded shoulder work.
I see guys go back and start warming up. I've warmed up with guys 2 flights ahead of me before because they're back there and they just want to get under it. I'm like, okay.
Some people it just works out for them.
Yeah.
Right. But if you're newer to this, you're going to want to conserve your energy, right? It's a long day. Start warming up when you need to. Control your emotions. Try to relax before you need to start warming up. If you need to talk to your friends or family, do that. If you need to listen to music to keep you mellowed out, whatever you got to do. I've seen people show up and take a nap until they need to start warming up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but just stick to your normal routine. Like, don't worry about changing anything up. You'll usually be in a group of 2 or 3 people. Just change the weights to what you normally work with. Don't worry about like doing exactly what they do just because it's on the bar. Like, be like, hey, can I get 135? Can I get 155? Can I, whatever it is. And people move weights. You'll help them move weights. Everybody's just kind of there to help each other out in the back room. And also try to, and it's hard to do sometimes, especially as your first time, but don't be done warming up before the flight starts if you're at the end of the flight. Like, if you're the last person or second to last person or whatever in your flight, don't hit your last warm-up and then wait for 8 people to lift. That's going to be like a full 10, 12, 15 minutes sometimes before you even step on the platform. So, it's okay to still be hitting a warm-up, in the middle of that flight. So you time it well so that you'd be hitting your first attempt when you would normally, like through your rest period. But,
and that's something that takes a lot of practice and experience, because as a newer lifter and younger lifter, when you hear them say, okay, this is the start of flight B, and then you feel you still have like another warm-up to take, you start freaking out.
Yeah.
Even though you're the last person, you're like 15 out of 15 people, you're the last person. You hear that your flight started and you start freaking out. I've done it. Everybody's done it.
Yeah.
Stay calm. Understand that it's going to take, man, it might take close to 10 minutes, 7 minutes or so, 8 minutes to get through those first attempts. Maybe even more.
Sometimes
more. Yeah.
I mean,
depending on how many people are in it. So, yeah, just take your time, try to time everything out, and just walk up to the platform warm and ready to go.
All right, so
I have a question.
Go for it.
Hit it.
If I am towards the end of my flight and I feel like it's taking a long time, can I go back and warm up a second time?
So I normally, personally, this is personal, I don't. So if I hit
This is personal.
This is personal now. Just being, like, I've been, the new lifter or whatever, and each meet is kind of run differently, so it's been through some experience that I've learned this. But I hit my last single, and then if I realize that I hit it way too early and it's taken a lot of time, the most that I will personally do is put on something a little bit heavier than my first attempt and just walk it out and just breathe underneath of it, because my first attempt is something that I've hit plenty of times, right? And so I'm used to holding something heavier, so then my nervous system's just ready to lift something then.
Sure.
I didn't waste any energy. So that's what I do.
I've seen the craziest shit. I've seen people hit more than their opener waiting to hit their opener, But I've also seen people that are the last lifter in the flight, and they're like the first person done warming up and just sitting in the chair up by the platform. And at the end of the day, it's whatever you want to do. But I will say this is why you carefully select your opener, because your opener should be essentially your last warm-up. So even if you misjudge your warm-up timing and you have to sit there for 5 to 10 minutes waiting for them to call your name, it doesn't matter, because it's not like you're taking your third attempt. Yeah. You're going up there, and even if you start to cool down a little bit, the weight's nothing substantial that you can't do even if you've cooled down. Yeah. So that's kind of my mindset. I'm never big on going back into the warm-up room and hitting anything else. If anything, put on some sweatpants, do a couple light like body weight squats or something like that. So keep it simple. Yeah, don't get worried.
Awesome. All right, so I think we need to talk about commands a little bit before we go anywhere else, right? Things you need to listen to.
We do. Yeah, we're going to talk about commands, and then we're going to get to the first lift jitters. So,
do you want to go first lift jitters first? You seem kind of jittery to talk about it.
No. All right, let's do it. So, all right, first lift jitters is something that keeps me coming back to powerlifting meets. I'll be honest. If I didn't get that feeling, like up in my throat,
yeah, like the butterflies,
I don't know if I would want to continue to compete. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The most experienced powerlifters still get nervous. It doesn't matter. And I'll tell you, for my last meet, I think I was more nervous than I've ever been for a meet. So like it just depends. But
it's so fun, like that excitement, feel that adrenaline rush you get.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is. But just know that everybody's in the same boat as you are, right? You are not an outlier. You're not an outcast. It's okay to let it be shown that you're nervous, because everybody is. I mean, you're in front of people you don't know. You're getting judged. You're wearing a thin spandex singlet.
This is a judgment-free zone.
You're right.
I will set off the lunk alarm.
That's the end of this podcast. So
what a scuzz.
I will judge you hard. Embrace the nervousness, because it's going to help you get through the experience. Hit those commands, right? Don't be so nervous, and it's going to happen. Like, let's be honest, at some point in your lifting career, you're probably going to miss a command.
Yeah.
Unless you're Jared, you've probably never met I don't know. Jared's probably never.
I haven't missed a command.
Really?
I've never missed a command. No, I haven't.
I missed a rack command.
I came close to missing a squat rack command one time.
Yeah.
But they said it the same time I stepped, and I got nervous as soon as I felt myself step. But they said it, and I was like, "We're good. We're good.
Strongest calf muscle ever. Just like holding it on one foot." But embrace those pre-lift jitters. I mean, like, you're gonna go up there and like completely forget what you're there to do.
Yeah.
And that's where you just let your actions and your training just take over.
Yeah.
Go on autopilot. All you're doing is listening to the judge. Your body is just doing what you're telling it to do.
Now this is where practicing the commands becomes important. Like, so leading up to the meet, you need to practice the commands for each lift, right? Because there's rules to make each lift good, and you can get red lights if you don't follow said command. So a few weeks out of your meet, start practicing each time you do a lift, like just practicing the commands. Just say them to yourself, have somebody say them to you. So when you go to squat, right, you unrack it, you step back, and you just stare at the head judge once you're set. And then he'll just tell you to squat, or she'll just tell you to squat. So you do your thing, you stand back up, you just stay there. Once you stand back up, you stay, and then they'll say rack, and then you walk it in. That's it.
So just remember, like with a bench press, they make you pause. I had somebody the other day that asked me if there was a pause command for a squat, and there is not.
That would be brutal.
That would be gangster. We could start a different federation.
You think gangster?
We can start a different federation that enforces that. But yeah, you're gonna get on. You're gonna.
Thinking about that. Holy fuck.
And then halfway up the deadlift, you say stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then go again.
There's probably more people. There's probably people that would be better at that than actual deadlifts. But so. Yeah, remember, you're going to get under the bar, and you're going to unrack it when you are ready.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you to unrack it. So you're going to get under the bar, get tight, take your time. Take your time. All right? Don't rush. Get under the bar, couple small steps out. Let the bar settle. Look at the judge. Acknowledge that you're ready. Take a big breath, just like you would in training. Descend into your squat the same speed you always do. Hit the bottom. Stand up. Hold it. Come to a complete stop. They're going to tell you to rack it. You walk it back in. Boom, you're in the meet.
So just wait for the start command. It'll be start or squat, something like that. So don't, just go for it right after, like as soon as you walk it out. But then also don't feel like you have to go as soon as they say it. It's not like a gun to start a race,
Yeah.
So as soon as they say squat, you can take your breath, brace yourself, and go down. Like you have a little bit of time there too.
So they do, one thing we should touch on, there is a 1 minute, a 60-second time period.
Yeah.
From when they say that the bar is loaded for your attempt, you have 60 seconds to go up there, get under the bar, and start the lift. Right? Now, when you unrack that bar and you walk it out, just like Jared said, when they say squat or start, take your time. You don't have to go as soon as they say it. Right? Go at your own pace. It's up to you. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I've seen, for the people doing the kabuki coming up here, I've seen most of you lift. If I haven't seen you lift, I've seen your videos, and none of you take 60 seconds. So
yeah, you're good.
Just do your normal thing.
Yeah, nobody like lathers in chalk.
Yeah.
and drenches their body in ammonia and smelling salts. You know what I mean?
You don't do that?
I mean, I do, but this is for first meets. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
All right. So bench commands.
Bench commands.
So this is the most annoying one, right? So you have 3. So you get under the bar, you unrack it, and you hold it. You can have somebody lift off for you. That's fine too. So you can have your friend or whoever your coach is, whatever. They can do a normal lift off for you. You hold the bar. You'll hear a start command. You just do your normal descent, bring it down with control. Do not drop it on your chest. As soon as it touches your chest, you just wait there. It's a pause, right? And you have to stay there until they say press. You press it back up, and then you stop again once you press the weight. You wait until they say rack, put it back in, sit up, and look for your white lights.
Mm-hmm. Simple as that.
That just 3 things: start, press, rack.
Yep. And don't anticipate the commands. React to the commands. Right. All you're doing is lifting the weight. You're just reacting to what they say. Don't anticipate the start command. Definitely don't anticipate the press command.
Yeah.
Because that's like sitting at a stoplight trying to race somebody, guessing when it's going to turn green, right? Don't do that. Just react and just lift.
Yep.
Keep your damn butt down.
Yeah. Yeah, your butt's got to stay on the bench. Your feet can't come off the floor.
I've been called for that though, so whatever.
Butt coming up? Oh yeah, same.
It might happen, but.
Yep.
So
one time I got called because they said my butt wasn't even on the bench. They said it was the top part of my hamstrings. And I was like, I don't know how you can.
Did you say I have high hamstrings? That's like always the excuse.
No, I tried to talk anatomy and it didn't work. The guy was like, I still red lighted you. I'm not taking it away.
Oh, had to throw accent in there, huh? Of course he was a redneck.
He wasn't. He just had an accent. I was down south for it.
Right. Love it. So we only got 2 lifts?
We got the best lift still.
Okay.
We're saving the best for last, right?
That's right.
So the deadlift.
Easiest.
Walk up. It's the most amazing thing. You walk. Everybody's hyped for the deadlift, right?
Yeah.
So the hype is there.
There could be people like sleeping in their cars, like spectators, during the bench press.
Yeah.
They hear that the bar's loaded for deadlifting, and they're like just coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Just everybody's hyped.
And it's the deadlift is super exciting.
Yeah.
And it's also exciting because you only got to worry about one thing, and that is you go up, you pick that weight up, and you stare at that head judge, and he says down, and you can't drop it. You just set it down with relative control, and that's it. You just get a down command.
Yeah.
That's why it's the best lift.
Yeah, for sure. They're going to have their hand up as you walk up to the bar, and that lets you know that they're ready.
Yeah, and then they just bounce like a rap concert.
Yeah.
Just down.
Well, hopefully they're not like doing that, because I've seen that happen, that little like pump fake, and you think
I've never seen that happen.
Oh man, it's the worst thing ever. So like
that would be awful.
Sometimes what happens is you'll lock the bar out, and maybe like there's a little movement at the top, and they think you have it locked out, and they'll start to say down, but then they realize that you don't quite have it locked out, and then they'll put their hand back. And if you put it down when they go like this, that's a no lift.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of messed up a little bit.
But they'll verbalize a down command for you. They'll yell down.
Yeah, they will yell down. But again, try not to anticipate, right?
Yeah.
You don't even really have to look at them. You're just like reacting to the verbal cues. So you hit all those lifts and you've made it.
I have something for the down command on deadlift. Just like squat, you don't have to put it down the second they say put it down.
Right.
Because I think that's a lot of the time is you hear the down, you get so excited, and then that's how you drop it. But if you take the second and then put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't slam it either.
Right.
Like, don't just, like, throw it on the ground out of excitement. Set it down and then be excited.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, part of the, if you approach everything correctly, you're going to lift on this day more weight than you've ever lifted.
Yeah.
Right? There's a good chance that you will. When you deadlift more weight than you've ever deadlifted, and that feeling, that pressure, like throughout your body and your head, you feel like the bar ripping through your soul. You want to put that thing down as fast as possible. Just make sure you do it when they tell you to.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so through the judging, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have heard about red lights and white lights, but you have 3 judges, one in the front and one on either side of you, and each of them has a button that's either red light, white light. White lights are good, red lights are no good. You need 2 whites at a minimum for a good lift, and obviously 2 reds is a bad lift. If you get a red light for any reason, even if it is a good lift, still approach the judge that gave you the red light and ask them like why they gave it to you so that you can better perform the next time. Because what you don't want to do is make the same mistake, but then maybe have a second mistake and get red lighted for the next lift when you might have gone up in weight.
Definitely. You gotta communicate. Don't try to be stubborn or have too much of an ego or be scared. Don't be scared to ask them what you did wrong. This is a learning experience. You understand that this might not be, maybe it is the only meet you ever do, but there's a good chance that it's not the only meet that you ever do. So you're preparing yourself for the future. So just be humble, be open to some criticism, and realize what you got to do to be better.
Yeah, there's rules for a reason. That's why we don't quarter squat in the gym anymore. If you compete.
Don't come in here and see me training. You'll catch me quarter squatting.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, your bicep.
Right.
So last thing I want to talk about at least is, it's a long day. You're lifting pretty heavy. A lot of times some stuff starts to come up. You get some aches and pains through the day, right? Yeah. I've experienced it. I know you've experienced it. So Kurt, how do you normally handle the feeling of like pain during a day?
I think part of it is just like having experienced it before, knowing the difference between like something feeling uncomfortable and something that is not right. There's a good chance that when you get done hitting your squats, your back might tighten up or your hips or, your knees or something like that. It's not guaranteed, but there's a chance it might happen.
You're lifting maximally.
Yes. You're essentially taking the events of weeks and weeks and weeks and putting it into like 6 hours. That's hard. The amount of pounds, you're lifting thousands of pounds throughout one day.
Thanks, man. Way to put a plural on that for me. Thank you.
Tens of thousands of pounds throughout one day. And, don't expect everything to feel perfect the whole day. If you do, I hate you. But just understand that, some things might feel a little off. Now, don't overreact. That's the biggest thing. If something seriously doesn't feel right and you're not comfortable with it, then don't push through it. You have nothing to prove. But if it's just a little bit of, tightness or soreness or stiffness or aching, you're good. You're good. You know your body well enough that you'll know what to do.
Yeah. So, like, if you get little aches and pains, I honestly would recommend do not sit in that chair and just watch all the other flights until you have to go warm up again. Go for a walk. Go just, like, stretch and move around. Like, you want to keep blood flowing, right? If you don't keep that blood flowing, generally you're gonna have a little bit more pain associated with whatever happened. If something does go pretty wrong and you're like, I'm definitely not going to even touch my opener right now, that's okay. You can, for your go up to the judge and be like, hey, like you can either cut yourself out of the rest of your attempts, that's fine, or if you haven't hit your opener yet and you're not going to do it, just have them drop it to something you can do, and you can stay in the meet.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I had one meet in particular where I kind of injured myself 3 weeks out from the meet. I said, you know what, I'm going to go and try to do it anyway. I'm already signed up, and see what happens. And I was in the warm-up room, and I was squatting, very, very lightweight, and I felt that injury happen again, and I knew my day was over. So I went over to the table, and I said, look, I'm going to have to take token lifts on all my lifts today, but I'm going to complete the whole meet. So I went and I took 135 on everything and completed the meet and still had a great day. I met awesome people and still learned a lot. So if you're already there, that's what I would recommend. I wouldn't necessarily say
don't just quit and leave.
Don't just quit. Like, that's not what we do. We signed up, we committed to something, see it through, however that has to be done.
On my second meet ever, it's the only meet I ever bombed out of. I hurt myself in the warm-up room benching, and I did not know that you could lower your starting attempt. Like, I was at the lifters meeting and everything. I don't know if it was skipped. I just didn't know you could do it.
Yeah.
So I still went out and tried it all 3 times, and like I couldn't budge the weight. It wasn't happening. But the people at the meet were nice enough. You're just talking about nice people at the meet. They let me still go through the whole meet. Like, I still got the deadlift. It was still an awesome experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, even though it was super frustrating because I knew I bombed out of the meet. Despite that, though, they still let me go through everything, and I had a great day as well.
Yeah. You can still compete, or you can still lift. Your lifts just won't count towards the overall result. So still get the experience. Like, if for some reason, and there is a chance that you bomb out of your squats, meaning you miss all of your squats or you miss all of your bench or whatever, know that you can do the rest of the meet and still learn and still have fun.
Yeah, you train for it. You might as well do it. You paid the money. Yeah. Money's down. We said that last time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Money's down. Finish up what you started.
In between, speaking of injuries and soreness and aching and things like that, a lot of times hydration will play a big role in that. So you'll get something that feels like your muscles are going to fly apart, and it might just be a cramp. Know that you're getting dehydrated throughout that day, and you might not even realize it, especially depending on the weather, if it's outside, if it's inside.
Yeah.
If it's inside, your body's using fluid even if you're not sweating a lot.
Yeah. So
stay hydrated. That, if you're using Gatorade, Noon tablets, whatever in training, do the same thing during the day. A lot of times that can help the soreness and tightness that you're feeling.
Even if you're in a pinch, I guarantee you can find yourself some salt water.
Oh, for sure.
Shout out to Josh Conroy for getting me salt water the one time I was cramping.
That's science.
I know.
That's science right there.
How about eating during the meet?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. We didn't talk about that.
Can I eat during the meet? What should I eat during the meet? What if I'm too nervous and can't eat? Is that bad?
So you can eat during the meet. Obviously, it's a full day. You should be eating
through
the day.
Yeah.
I don't recommend doing too much out of like your ordinary food, right? Like, don't be getting takeout all day if you can help it.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Don't just go to the grocery store and buy a ton of protein bars. That's not going to give you a lot of energy through your day. So you want to have some, I think, quick carbs.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? A lot of protein bars?
Yeah, I was protein bars and pizza. Yeah.
That's why he's undefeated.
Pizza, was normal for me.
Yeah, pizza's normal for you. So your body was like, yes, we're good to go.
Yeah,
we're going to go undefeated.
Just another day.
Yeah, right.
But normally, no, I don't have an appetite during a meet. I never have. I think it's just from the adrenaline up and down, But one thing I always do is make sure I'm hydrated.
Yeah.
Electrolytes.
Liquid calories are easy too.
Yeah, liquid calories. Now, not like protein shakes.
No, God, no.
But like electrolytes, Gatorade, Pedialyte, that'll get your body a very long way. But you want to eat. Now, if you don't have a big appetite for your normal foods, chicken, steak, rice, whatever, tofu, whatever it is you're eating, like Jared said, like quick carbs. So fruits will get you a very long way for sure.
Bagels, breads,
granola bars, like stuff like that.
PB&J, baby.
PB&J is another good one. Liz got a whole like 2 loaves of bread for my last meet, and there were like 8 people that came to support me for the meet, and she made peanut butter and jellies for everybody.
I love that.
It was amazing.
I love that.
It was amazing, and they were solid too. But Yeah, so stuff like that, man. Small amounts of food periodically throughout the day will get you a long ways.
Yeah, don't feel like you got to stuff yourself.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, man, I think we hit a majority of it. I'm sure there's something that we missed, but if any of you have any questions or think of something that maybe we missed, reach out to us.
This comes out Monday, the week of the Kabuki.
Yeah,
so as you're hearing this is hopefully your pump up soundtrack.
For sure.
Don't worry about taking notes. We'll be there.
Right.
We will be there. We'll be running around crazy, but we will be there.
We'll all be there.
Ask us before the meet if you have questions. But if it's something the day of, come up to us, grab us, say, hey, could you help me out? Or I'll lift off for anybody. If you use knee wraps, I'll wrap anybody's knees. I've always done it and I love it. I know these guys are the same. So let us know and.
We're excited for you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's always fun. It's going to be a good day. So
hell yeah.
Anything else to say, guys?
I believe that you told me to tell everyone to, quote, have fun, bitches.
That's it.
Nice.
That was the most important.
I love that.
That was the most important.
Yeah, good luck.
It's life is too short to take something like this way too serious.
Life's too short to not take your third attempt.
Oh! And on that note, we're ending the podcast. Later, skaters.